of the cricket team celebrating the ICC T20 Men's World Cup are thanks to acclaimed photographer Rohit Chawla, who you've met at least a couple of times before on this channel. Now, Rohit has had a ringside view to the team and to this tournament, quite literally. And I'm glad that he's joining us to relive some of the highs and lows of this tournament and also to tell us some of the details that only the long lens of a photographer can pick up. These images don't just document cricket and sports history, they also capture the ethos and emotions of the time. Rohit, thank you once again for joining me and for sharing all these incredible images.
It's a very good feeling to come back on a podcast after we won a cup rather than the last time when we did it. We had lost the World Cup, and which was quite a bit of a setback from a photographer's point of view. But yeah, happy to be back.
I'm glad you started by remembering the 2023 ODI World Cup where we last spoke, right? And some of those images, I still remember the Virat Kohli and that cap image where he's hiding his face. How do you contrast these two tournament endings, the way that one ended, the way this one ended, in terms of just the mood, the feeling, and the energy that you were witness to and that you've captured for us?
Obviously the success has many takers. So for me to see the sort of a hullabaloo that was made after this particular victory was good, but it didn't have carry the weight of let's say a World Cup victory at the last Ahmedabad final. But yes, it was good. It felt good to be finally get the jinx of the Ahmedabad stadium off our backs, because I went there 3 times. I saw the South Africa game where we lost, and if we had actually lost this one, I would have vowed never to go to Ahmedabad again. My friends almost convinced me not to go there. I said, no, I'm wearing my black and white t-shirt and white shorts that I wore at the Bombay semi-finals. So I took the chance and I went there and we won, and I had a great time, and so did the people. And what besides the cricket, it was also magical in terms of the laser show that the Ricky Martin performance. So it was like a full-on tamasha, and I enjoyed every minute of it. Besides just the cricket.
Rohit, you talk about the jinx, the so-called jinx. You talk about wearing black and white. So you belong to the category of Indian fans who are very, very superstitious and believe that what they do can influence the outcome of what the team does.
No, I'm not superstitious. But you see, even the cricket team chose not to stay in the same hotel. So at some stage, it wears on you. So in a country obsessed with cricket, you want all your gods on your side on a given day. So, it's my way of saying that I'm invested in the cricket. So be it superstition, be it wearing the same clothes, you do your bit. I mean, I didn't get to wear the blue jersey because I had to wear a photographer's bib that we are all supposed to wear. But yeah, we do a little bit. We are very loyal cricket fans. So yeah, it's good to be
And
sentimental.
this thing about the Narendra Modi Stadium, India's largest sports stadium today, was there really this overhang of, is this stadium jinxed? Is this place ever going to see India win a big victory and an important victory like a final?
I have a bit of a spoiler to say. The bigger the stadium, the more difficult it is to watch anything. And this stadium is far too big. Cricket is not a stadium sport, if you ask me, quite honestly. You don't
Yeah.
see anything, even on the ground with this. I sit with a 800 lens, then I put a 2x converter, which means I'm virtually face up portrait to the cricketers. Even then, somebody like me misses the intricacies of what you see on a television screen. So, cricket is essentially a television sport now. You go to the stadium just for the atmosphere and the joy of being at a physical event. I mean, the television beats watching cricket on a stadium any day. And big stadiums, no. I would rather be at a Wankhede or a smaller stadium. So the Ahmedabad stadium is just far too big.
Tell me about some of the highlights for you. Do you track the team? Were you at all the matches that they played?
I went to the important ones. I went to Pakistan. So let's talk about the ones which are important. I went to
So
Colombia.
yeah.
Yeah, so that was the beginning of the campaign, really, in earnest. And any game with Pakistan in today's time and age, because you don't know when the next game will start. And I'm very clear. I mean, I had a chat with Shashi Tharoor a couple of days before the tournament. He said Pakistan is not going to go, and I was clear. Even my driver, my cook, they said, "No, no, Pakistan jayega, sir." So Shashi Tharoor was proven wrong, and Pakistan finally participated in the cup. And I was lucky that I had bought my ticket in time. I was there in Colombo, and the joy of seeing this new spinner that the Pakistan team had, and to see whether he would be able to deliver on a given day was something that I liked seeing. But that contest was a bit of a no contest, really. I mean, they just folded, and I actually felt sorry for the Pakistani cricket team
Yeah.
because they get a lot of unfair flack from their own countrymen because of that. I mean, I find that the Indian cricket lovers are a little more forgiving, whereas the Pakistani cricket lovers are not so forgiving for the cricket team. And I genuinely felt bad that day because they're a good team and we beat them so easily.
Comprehensively, easily, yeah.
You know, I felt bad for Babar Azam and all the kind of jingoistic comments and the wrong comments that came. So, I still believe that we should shake hands with the Pakistani team. If you're playing a game, it has to be a game. Let's not make it a war.
I'm glad you brought this up because I was going to ask you on television now we are watching this kind of behavior in an Indo Park match, right? No shake hands, this kind of antagonistic behavior. You're just playing because you have to play and because the stakes are so high for the business of cricket where this fixture is concerned. But what is it off the TV cameras? Because I mean, as a photographer on the ground, you can see what is happening besides what the TV cameras are showing us. What are you seeing? Is there an ease? Is there camaraderie? Or does it spill over even off screen?
No, no, no. See, the camera shows you what it wants to show you. Why does whereas when I go with my camera, I'm actually trespassing into moments that you never get the television camera to focus on. I'm more interested in what an ex-cricketer is feeling when he gets not necessarily a wicket, how he's on the ground, how he reacts to different inputs that he gets from both the crowds and the field. So it's like it's my own personal journey into the cricketer's mind is what I'm doing. And essentially I'm doing portraits. Okay, I'm a
Yeah,
portrait specialist of sorts. So I'm trying to create my own set of portraits which are very different from the random portraits that you get. And they're also
yeah.
unrehearsed portraits in the sense because
So we will talk about that because we're going to show people some of the images and there's some amazing images. The one with Jasprit Bumrah, I really like that. There's so many that you have, right? And of course, Hardik Pandya, I think, is a photographer's dream because he really knows how to give you the perfect portrait. You were spoiled for choice. But before we get into that, did you see off camera this kind of made for TV conflict that you're seeing today in an Indo Park game in terms of the way the cricketers behave? Like off camera, what was the camaraderie like?
camera, it's absolutely friendly and wonderful. People are so nice to teams are nice to each other. They are generally very well behaved. I think they take these strong positions because when they know the camera is there recording every moment of the time, I think all the teams get along with each other. Even with the Pakistani team, I saw no hostility between the Indian cricketers and them. Off the camera, they were happy to be friends. It's only in front of the camera they were being mindful of how the countrymen would perceive them. They're also meant to be competitive, right?
Yeah.
So they play that role of being that competitive thing. I mean, they play act half the time. They're little children. Our cricketers are children. And nothing was more visible than when they won the Cricket World Cup. And luckily at that point of time, we were given the access to be absolutely up close with them. And you saw the raw emotion. You feel that these guys, fed by millions in the country, are little kids waiting for that selfie for themselves, getting in their mothers, holding them, holding the cups, creating their own special moments. They are as much as a child as all of us are when we're sitting at the back. I mean, cricket is a great emotional sport in India. So, and these cricketers are not bereft of that. They are emotional, I can see. And that for me is the most wonderful thing, or was the most wonderful thing at this World Cup.
It's really interesting what you just mentioned and all those images of families, parents, little children, spouses, all on the field,
Oh,
part of this victory.
it was just wonderful for now. And Hardik is getting a lot of flack for being on the team with his
Yeah, I
girlfriend.
was just going to bring it up. What do you think of that PDA? Because a lot of people are talking about, oh, is that correct behavior? Oh, why are his girlfriend and him?
Why are we as a country becoming Taliban about everything to do with love? The man was in love. The emotion got to him. Yes, maybe he should have spent some more time with his team. But he spends his lifetime with his team, so he's allowed that little private moment, and he performed for the camera. He loves doing that. He's the kind of guy when he sees a long lens of mine pointed towards him, he would actually stop and he will make sure that I get that extra 5 seconds to take a photograph. So, these things are very, I think also, he was also childlike. So, isn't that wonderful? Let's not give him such a hard time about the fact that he was celebrating with his girlfriend, So, be it he plays competitive cricket and this was his off day and he had won the biggest tournament. So, let's be kind to our cricketers. That's the least we owe them, especially when they give us such joy.
Do you think the Indian fan is unkind to cricketers anymore? Because in the past few years, at least in these the ODI and the T20, definitely Indians have been doing really well. You can change the team. You have different players. Some players like Rohit and Virat have retired. I mean, have retired from this format of the game, and you still have a great performance going, right? So, do you think Indian fans are unkind to cricketers anymore because they've been getting some pretty good performances over the past 5 6 years,
I
isn't
think
it?
India fails to report it, then Indian fans are very perceptive. They
Hmm.
understand why Rohit and Virat Kohli were made to retire. But let's not make too much of the thing that they retired out of their own great goodwill and goodness. And, it was really forced on them. And the role of Gambhir and the selectors cannot be underplayed in this case, because both of them are very fine cricketers. I think they had a couple of years ahead of them in both T20 and the T50. And I'm glad that their level of fitness, Rohit is looking the fittest I've ever seen him on the ground.
Yeah.
He's also such a wonderful, his temperament is beautiful, and Virat was always a competitive guy. And so, there's the Indian fan knows the politics that goes behind cricket. One doesn't need to spell it all the time. Everybody has a point of view. And success has got many fathers, and now all of them are taking credit for how they decided that Sanju was the man and they bought him in. But what about 2 weeks earlier? What
Yeah,
was the
that press conference, right, with Surya Kumar Yadav, yeah, where he actually snapped at a
so?
reporter.
And not just snapped, he made fun. He almost was so derisive. Was it something that a captain of an Indian team needs to do and talk freely? He knows he's being recorded by the cameras. If he can do that in front of camera, do you understand what he thinks or what on a given day is his own mindset? So let's not be. This World Cup has been won by India because of Sanju Samson and Nishan. Okay, and Bumrah. Bumrah is always a great performer, so one can never take him out of the equation. He's one of the biggest strengths of Indian cricket. But these two boys, they change everything. And supposing Abhishek Verma hadn't clicked in the final, I'm glad he clicked, and I'm very glad that Surya felt that, and Gautam Gambhir now that they're taking ownership of that they backed him. But would they have backed a Sanju Samson like that? Would they have backed an Ishant Tanka if this had happened? So people have different standards, and I don't make too much about it. One of the reasons of being a photographer or being able to see more is because I can see the politics too. I can see it up close and personal through my lens. I don't need to say that in front of the camera in front of you, because I don't want the entire world to go by my conspiracy theories. But yes, there's a fair amount of politics in Indian cricket. There is a fair amount of politics that the selectors play. There are favorites. It's always been there. That is the nature of the beast.
Yeah.
In a thing like cricket or the creative arts, in this particular case, the decisions worked and we won the World Cup. But it could have gone any day. We could have lost at the semi-final stage if it wasn't for Sanju Samson. Now when I see all these interviews given by Surya Kumar and Gautam Gambhir, it's actually, some of it is comical. If you're smart enough, you can read between the lines and you know exactly what it is. All this, the commentators know it best. I'm not a true insider. Okay, let's be very honest. I'm still an outsider. But even the commentators, the so-called great writers of Indian, from very they're all paying obeisance to the cricket board. They only choose to say what they are allowed to say
Yeah.
because nobody wants to rub anybody the wrong way. And now, because I do happen to work with a television network, I'm being a little careful too. Otherwise, I would have said a lot more things than I needed to say. There's a fair amount of politics in Indian cricket team, and it's best that you dispense with it. And cricketers like Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli have been victims of that politics. Let's not run away from that. And I'm so happy for a guy like Sanju Samson or Ishan. I'll tell you a simple thing. Which Sanju, one of the games at the India-Namibia game in Delhi, he hit a ball very hard. It came towards me. I was sitting right next to the boundary wall, where photographers sit. He said right on the boundary. The ball came to me and I was out of irritation. I just said something. I said, "Kya kar rahe ho?" And the boy, Sanju Samson, comes towards me and very gently looks at me straight into my face. कि आप बोले तो match cancel कर दें. That kind of, it disarmed me and I started smiling. But that's the man. Even at the final, at the end of the game, he was a guy who had the gumption to sit alone with his trophy, take that moment in, and have a beautiful picture of that sitting in the moment. He, to me, epitomizes what sportsmanship, what devotion to the game, and he really won everybody's heart by the kind of person is, by the kind of gumption and the belief that he showed in himself. Even when he got the 50 in the final, he didn't celebrate. And Ishantanka, my God, I have never seen the ball hit with that ferocity and that power from this little man. Rohit Sharma had that gumption to hit the big sixes. To see that coming from an Ishan and a Samson, I mean, brilliant. Virat, when he plays cricket, is a little more labored, in the sense that, yes, he has all the strokes in the world, but he's a thinking man's cricketer. He thinks, especially now after he's got that bad set of form and then he came back and did those
Yeah.
great scores, he thinks about his cricket. But these two cricketers instinctively, Rohit Sharma, Samson, Nishan, their stroke play is brilliant. Maybe Abhishek is also a brilliant cricketer, but he has to prove himself. Just 150 is good. Yeah, it's great. It helped us win the game, but he needs to
So
be
talk a
consistent.
little bit about your portraits, because we are showing people so many of these amazing images that you've captured. People are constantly moving. How do you frame portraits? What are you looking to capture? In these high stakes games, whether it was the England semi final, the semi final against England, whether it was, of course, the final. What are you looking to capture?
So basically, I don't like doing cruel portraits. That's one kind of portraits that certain photographers love doing. The guys in the awkward moment, pulling the nose, doing silly things. I don't. I try to make these cricketers are my heroes. So that's one fundamental thing. But the biggest thing is, you can never take a straight portrait of Surya Kumar Yadav because he keeps chewing the gum. He is, yes, if you take 2,000 pictures of him, he is not chewing gum or he's got face straight for only 10 of them. So the biggest trick is to get him to look straight into the camera without chewing. He's a nervous wreck. I'm so sorry to tell you this. For all his great, his laughter is out of a certain degree of nervousness. So I don't think he's a great natural cricketer. And he did very little in this World Cup. He's got all the spoils of the World Cup, but on a given day, if you go by his record, now they're gonna Gautam Gambhir is gonna get another rung and Surya is gonna, but I hope at some point somebody has the gumption to say some honest truths about it. I don't think it'll happen very soon.
So Surya Kumar Yadav is a difficult guy to get a great portrait of because he's chewing gum. Who are the people who give you interesting photographs?
Because of his demeanor and because of his openness, Hardik is a favorite guy. I did lots of portraits of him on the day. He wore this
Yeah.
flag around his neck. His haircut is gorgeous for a photographer's point of view. Yeah, but then also some of the critters are rather plain looking. So when you find a Hardik, Hardik will certainly make a better portrait than a Samson. Okay, but if you manage to get the earnestness of Samson or Shivam Dubey, so on a given day, you try different things, and sometimes, I might have taken a couple of thousand pictures, but I'll be happy with just 10 great portraits which can stand the test of time. So I think at some point you'll see a book
So,
of just the
so what are your favorite? What are your favorite pictures in this tournament?
my favorite picture. There are too many to single them out. I took some great portraits even of the Pakistani cricket team. That great spinner of theirs that they were supposed to unveil who didn't really come about. Yeah, I mean, I saw the semi-final between India and England. My God, we barely scraped through. It was just too close for comfort. And so the guy who made that Pectel, who made the century, I mean, like, I have some great portraits of him, which I haven't seen. Because when you lose, nobody has interest in the losers, really. So, yeah, I just come back. It's only been 4 5 days, thousands of images to look through. But Bumrah is fantastic. I'm trying to do a whole body of work, create some fine art work with the cricketers, just to see Bumrah, his bowling run up and what he does. And yeah, camera manages to capture that, and so sometimes when you get lucky, you manage to get something which the TV camera can't quite get in. You know.
and you're not looking. I mean, you, of course, you have pictures of the action, but your focus is primarily on getting these portrait images, right?
On human emotion. My focus is always on human emotion. In my way of getting to know my cricketers a lot better. I see them in various. I see who's talking to whom in the field. When they're in the circle, when they do the so-called India circle, who's giving the instructions really? You'd be surprised. It's not Surya Kumar. Sometimes it's Bumrah. Sometimes it's a bowler. So when Gautam Gambhir comes in onto the field uh, at a semi-final stage, at a 14-hour stage, and it's a crucial stage. I am trying to read his body language and I can know what his relationship with a particular cricketer is at that point of time. Because the camera sees it very, very clearly. And the camera can capture what he really thinks of an ex cricketer or a Y cricketer. They are great actors, all of them. They're basically performing on the field. Everybody's mindful. And now these cricketers are so in love with their own reels. You see, I find it charming. I find it charming, Arshadip's reels. There's a certain honesty and purpose in that unrehearsed way he does.
Yeah.
I think Rohit won't do that. A Virat won't do that. They're so mindful of their own image and all of that. So some of this charming candor that you see with some of these young cricketers from the wrong parts of the country, wrong small little town, is charming. It's beautiful. Because I think the cricketers became too sophisticated. Dhoni became so, he's always in control. In the field, even though he's in the game, he never steps out of the glass chamber because he knows all the attention will be on him. And sometimes I point my camera up and look at these great corporate boxes. And
Yeah, yeah.
what is strange is they all come there to eat. And I don't want to name people. All of them are sitting in their boxes, focusing on the television camera, which they put, television screen put
The
right
screens that are there in the boxes, yeah.
behind the feed. They're also actually watching when they are on television so that they can perform. And my God, do the biggest families in the country need to eat at a cricket stadium? I see them eating for 1 hour out of a 2 hour game. it's yeah. So let's not go there. But it's also sometimes it's fun people watching too. That's part of the game. You want to see how an ex family or an ex actor rehearses. It's great to see Ranbir and see the enthusiasm that he has with his little daughter and Alia. But it's charming. So all in all, cricket and a stadium is about tamasha. It's not about just watching cricket up close. And most of the people, I'll tell you something. When I used to go to the airport back, everybody who's at the game is actually sitting in the airport lounge and seeing the game then, because only then they really know. My joke with my friends is that मैं phone करता हूँ उनको stadium से. I said, यार बता दे score क्या है? Because in the stadium, unless you're looking at the board, you don't even know what is happening. Because as a photographer, I can only focus at a one point of time. I don't have the
Yeah.
luxury of 15
Yeah.
cameras like Star TV and all these guys. So if I'm focusing on the batsman, then I can only see what the batsman is doing. It's too little time for me to see if he's hit the ball and where it has gone. So watch the cricket in the television and go to the stadium to enjoy the spectacle. And I just love the spectacle.
Quick question on the fans and the kind of images. Do you look at fan images at all?
Oh, I love fan images. Fan images are so charming. I did a whole series on fan. Maybe you can run it in this. Yeah, fans also make, but all of them are not so mindful of them. They make pain. I think this guy who was Sudhir is his name, who was Sachin Tendulkar's figure, who became a sort of mnemonic for Indian cricket. I've been seeing him in different cricket stadiums, whether it's in London or Australia. So he started that trend, and then there's a whole bunch of people who have corporate sponsors behind them. So they dress up seriously, they take their job of seriously, and the joy of and that, we are patriotic Indians. At the end of the day, I think all Indians have that little thing in them, whatever be your religion. And when the tricolor flies, and when you see hundreds of tricolors in the stadium, it is a heady moment for all of us. We love our cricket, and thank God. And so, what if we are the financial powerhouse? Would we want it to be any other way? Why can't we be the number one country with the most financial might? I mean, is that a bad thing? Or do we always want to be at the back foot all our lives?
I think you've got a book on portraits coming out, isn't it?
Yeah. Can I show you the cover of the book? Because
You must. You please do.
this book,
I think the last time we spoke, it was Rain Dogs, your book on strays in Goa during the lockdown and COVID that you captured in their element and with the elements, isn't it? So we'd be happy to see what your book of portraits is about.
so I've been shooting artists in their studios for the last 10 years. This is my most serious body
Yeah, I've
of
seen
work.
some of those images.
It's called The Portrait of an Artist. It's being launched next week. and it's a KNMA mapping book, and here it is.
Wow. So, how many artists do you have in here?
I photographed 68 artists in their studios over the years, and this book is, yeah, it's precious. It'll also travel as an exhibition. So if anybody loves the art, this is a book that I would recommend that you buy.
Tell us a little bit about the book since it's coming out next week. People will get a heads up.
Uh, I'm also a photographer and artist of sorts, and I love
Of
doing portraits.
sorts.
Yeah, so I love doing portraits and art. It's my way of. If I'm curious about anybody, I try to get to know them a little better. So doing portraits is my way of getting to know anybody. So I am partial to creative practitioners, so be it authors. I'm also doing a book for JLF, 20 years of JLF, which is called Authors, which will be released next year at the JLF. So this one is about just artists in their studios in unstyled, natural moments, and get a sense of what they are all about. Also, वो कहते हैं ना, क्योंकि हर घर कहता है कि इसके अंदर कौन रहता है. So in the case of an artist, हर studio कहता है कि इसके अंदर कौन रहता है और उसकी personal aesthetic क्या है. So it's a way of demystifying them a little bit. It's got from Raza to Ram Kumar to Akbar Padamsi to the contemporary biggies too. So it's got everybody who I've crossed paths with, and sometimes. But I'll tell you a thing: all these meetings are not the most perfect meetings. Sometimes the journey can also be downhill. If you really love somebody or really worship somebody, be it a cricketer, be it an artist, be it an author, sometimes it's best not to meet them because in
Best
some
not to meet them. Yeah.
cases the journey can be downhill too. But this book is my way of separating the chaff from the wheat in the sense that I've chosen the artists who I think have a certain gravitas and a certain honesty of practice, and so you'll find them in the book.
And what are artists like as subjects? Are they willing subjects? Are they, easy in their skin subjects? Are they conscious? Does vanity play a big role in their, in the kind of images they want to see of themselves?
All creative practitioners, to my mind, are a little self-effacing. Self-effacing for a reason. They want to control how they look. Why do you think this selfie became so popular? It first time in their lives, it gave people the control of how they wanted to be seen and photographed.
Yeah.
So artists and authors are self-effacing. So unless they sort of trust your creative, eye or creative, your creative vision, they won't really open themselves to you. So it's a little more difficult than shooting random people. But I think I've been doing over the last 30 years, I've been doing the portraits. So by and large, I've managed to get my way with most people.
Let's close this with a question on cricketers. Contrast the way cricketers allow themselves to be photographed versus the artists.
The cricketers are very naive, and you would expect that somebody who's used to seeing their imagery thrown around thousands and millions of televisions out of the country would be, would not be wanting more. But I've seen them always wanting more images, and they are very forgiving when it comes to their images. They're just happy to be on the camera. So
Really?
yeah, they're just happy to be. They're little children. I mean, it's such a joy to see them and perform. And if you give them a picture and they'll walk up to you, they'll say hi to you. And I've seen that not now. I mean, I did Kapil Dev's first campaign for Boost. I've
Yeah.
seen his first campaign for Pepsi. I've known cricketers all my life, and so for me, it's my biggest joy in my world is to.
Is there a book of cricket portraits in the pipeline?
Yeah, I'm going to London this summer for the games in London because I enjoy watching cricket anywhere but India. And so, yes, hopefully there shall be. It's taken me 10 years to do the book on the artists, so maybe another 3-4 years to do a book on cricketers. Yeah. I will have 100 of my favorite cricketers shot over the last 10 years. Yes.
Well, Rohit, thank you for sharing some of those images here and for letting us show this to people. There's some fabulous images. Feel free to leave comments. Feel free to comment on the images, and do look up Rohit online at Rohit Chawla Photography to see some of the very diverse kind of photography that he's created over his decades as a photographer. Rohit, thank you as usual for making time, for keep talking. We'll continue to keep talking.
Thank you for letting me do this and letting me say the unsaid in an ecosystem where everybody is so politically correct now. So what I'm reading on newspapers is far from the truth. Okay, so don't take it. Take it with a pinch of salt. What you read.
Thank you, Rohit.